So welcome to Hack Circus. This is the dance episode of the podcast. We are also a magazine and an event series. Have a look at hackcircus.com for more about the project. In this episode I talked to Liam Francis and Hannah Rudd, who are both dancers with the Rambert dance company in London. It's one of the leading contemporary dance companies in the UK, and I actually worked there for 4 months earlier this year and at the end of last year as the first digital artist in residence. So over that time and subsequently I've got to know the dancers a little bit, and I've been carrying on doing work and experiments with them, which has been brilliant and fun. I really wanted to make a programme about Rambert because everybody who works there is so talented and so creative and so generous with their ideas and their enthusiasm. I'm going to try and get an episode out every week over the rest of the summer and autumn possibly, so we're going to go for another 8 episodes in this season. Don't hold me to that, but I'm going to try my hardest. I've got a really busy autumn, but let's see what happens. The next episode, hopefully next week, is going to be all about archives and is going to be a discussion with Erika, who's the archivist at Rambert as well. So I've got quite a lot of material from Rambert and I'm going to be using it in different ways over the podcast, I think. Let me know what you think. I'm at Hack Circus on Twitter and hackcircus.com for all the information about the other things that are made under this project. Oh, just to warn you, we were in a car when we were recording this episode, so there is a bit of background noise on some of it, but that can't really be helped, so hopefully you can still hear the chat okay. Without further ado, let's just get on with it, I think.
I was asking whether like dancers' career development, who help dancers as they want to transition into another career, could help me become like a CIA agent or like a spy or something. Because I was thinking like it'd just be like so much more fun. Like I think like I'd love to be a choreographer. Yes. I'd love to be a director of some sort. Yes. And I was like, but what about if like I didn't want to do something related to dance? It would definitely, I thought like maybe a policeman. I was like, yeah, but like dancing is like so extreme and exciting. It's kind of like going from being, I wouldn't want to go into like a normal job as it were. I want to be like a spy. But I think it's just the excitement of like being on stage, the adrenaline, the thing of like pushing yourself really hard to achieve things like you didn't know you could achieve, or things you thought you couldn't achieve. I want to like skydive out of something, like pull a lever, fly down in a parachute.
Oh, you could be a stuntman maybe.
Do you know what? As a kid, it was a stuntman when I was really young, then a politician, and now a dancer. So they're all very interesting. I
could see you being a stuntman there. I mean, that's like
I would love.
It's quite. It would actually be a legitimate. Like it's a possibility for you. Yeah. For most people, it's just like, oh, that'd be cool. Actually, I could do that. I do have the experience, and you know how to fall, and you're not scared to jump off things.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be awesome, a stuntman.
You could totally do that. I wonder if you would find it artistically satisfying, though.
I think I could, because I mean, like, I'd get shot and I'd really like elaborate my death. I'd really extravagant deaths, or like falls from building with loads of pirouettes in the middle. I'd like trip and there'd be like loads of rolls and floor work and loads of hair flicking, and then I've died. And then pass over to the actor again for them to come in.
You've done a few different kinds of dance, really.
Yeah.
And you started relatively late.
Yeah, like I started dancing at maybe 14, like my local dance school, but I kind of did like hip hop classes, and I just absolutely loved it. It was the one. I think I went to see a show in London called Into the Hoods by Zoo Nation Dance Company. And once I saw that show, I thought, I want to dance. Like, it inspired me. There was dancers in the show who I thought were just like absolute gods. They were literally like, you know when you watch TV, and I know every summer me and my brother used to watch the Olympics or athletics or some sort of like, usually athletics every summer. and used to watch them and be like, oh my god, look at these athletes, like you could never do that. They were kind of like untouchable, how fast they'd run, how high they would jump, all these sorts of things. And I remember watching these dancers as well from Zoo Nation Dance Company, thinking exactly the same about the majority of the cast, thinking, oh my god, they're like superhuman beings who are funky as well, which is like a lot of fun. And they're having so much fun. They're athletes who have the most amount of fun. I thought I really want to do that. So I started dancing, like I said, at my local dance school at 14, and then I started to travel up to London to train with Zoo Nation's kind of youth company sort of thing, which was where kind of it all started when it comes to performing, I guess. And I danced with their youth company for a while. Then I danced with, once I got to 18, I danced with the adult company a few times. And it was just, I think a lot of the dancers in the company had gone on to train, or before they had become professional dancers, they had trained at kind of dance conservatoires. And I remember thinking, all the dancers that I was really inspired by, like a lady called Tanisha Bonner, a male dancer called Rowan Hawkins. I just thought these dancers all trained at London Studio Centre, so I thought that's it, that's where I'm going to go, because I want to be like you guys. So I went there, and whilst I was there and whilst I was dancing with Zoo Nation, I did like a lot of TV work, so dancing on X Factor, dancing with artists, dancing with doing tours for X Factor winners, doing stuff like guest performances with artists on Britain's Got Talent, Got to Dance, Jonathan Ross, all these fun shows. And but I got to kind of 20 when I was at dance college, and I really enjoyed contemporary dance, and I thought, I don't really want to do this anymore. I don't want to be it kind of felt, contemporary dance almost offered me something a little bit more than kind of the commercial dance. And I thought, I really want to pursue this. And upon graduating, I was really lucky, and Rambert offered me an apprenticeship, and I was like, yes, I'll take that, because that's a good step. And I don't doubt the decisions I made, or look back and wish I'd made different decisions at all. I mean, it's so incredible. And I think the training that I've had as a hip-hop dancer has helped me a lot, really, as a contemporary dancer, just when it comes to the knowledge of your body. I have a knowledge of my body that streams from a different dance genre, so where different things are required, different dynamics, different coordinations, different textures. And I think it's great for me to be at Rambert and to do and to focus on things like ballet and Cunningham, which then train these different textures and dynamics into your body. But for me, I've been very lucky to have these other added understandings of my body that kind of developed from studying hip hop. And I'm very aware that they really helped me to be the performer that I am, and that without them I wouldn't be capable of doing the things I do. Like, for me, hip hop has always been so much fun, and even now being in a contemporary dance company, having danced because I loved it, and having done a style of dance that I absolutely loved, it means that I try to find that love in everything I do, rather than it being too much of a technique or a discipline or a job. I just think, for me, I just always try and find something that I love, and once I find that and something I enjoy and have fun with, whatever it's in, if it's in ballet, if it's in contemporary, Cunningham, Graham, hip hop, whatever style of dance, I really think that's what I hold on to, and that helps me get through and to enjoy it and make the most of it. And I think it helps you progress quicker, rather than focusing on the things that you need to do. If you focus on the things that maybe the elements of it that bring you joy, it allows you to progress quicker, because rather than associating kind of finding happiness once you achieve things and these goals, if you do it almost the other way round and find what makes you happy and just pursue that, then you will hit these targets, you will achieve things, because you're happy, and you're more. I think you're more productive and more efficient, and you learn quicker when you're happy rather than when you're just chasing these goals. And then when you get there, you think, when I get there, then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But then once you get there, you look for the next thing, so you're never really happy.
Yeah.
So I just try to do it the other way around, which is fun.
I think you're right, and that's something I noticed about Rambert, that and maybe you find this in any environment where everybody's just really unusually good at something, that you don't really see this anywhere else. Like I feel like maybe I don't think that Rambert take it for granted, but I think you get used to being around people who have this like level of excellence that's really unusual. But yeah, that's what I noticed, was that everybody was really happy and was really was really kind of inspired every day by what they were doing, and there was just this feeling of like, yeah, I'm doing this because I just love it. Like that's how, and it's not that they're, it's not a coincidence, you see what I mean? Like it's not that they've been doing it and they've kind of learned to love it. It's that love has driven them to the level that you guys are at now. But what do you like now that you've kind of surpassed your own masters? Do you feel like that? Do you have kind of dance heroes now who you think, oh, they're just amazing, or do you just kind of appreciate them but go, well, I know how they're doing that?
Oh yes, no, I have dance masters everywhere.
Right.
They're everywhere. They're standing next to me in class. They're standing, behind me, in front of me. Like you say at Rambert, they stand. They're everywhere. They're around you. The building is saturated with masters of their own things, like their own. They're all masters in their own right, I think, of something. And that's what's so lovely about being at Rambert, is that you can look behind you, to your left, to your right, wherever, and there's someone who's got some information that you don't have that could be valuable to you. And it's just having enough time to kind of absorb all these little kind of pods of information. We're so lucky to be in a company like that. I'm so lucky, and I'm very aware. Everyone is very willing to, if you ask, or even if you don't ask, and they think, I have this bit of information that might be helpful to you, they're going to give it to you because you want to see each other, flourish and do your best as a company and as individuals, because it's hard, and you don't do it because you get paid hell loads of money. That's not why you do it. You do it because you love it, you want to be the best you can be, and people understand that, and they will want to help you where possible, especially if they're in the same situation, on the same journey. Because you help someone helps you, you're more likely to do it together and with a shared knowledge, rather than think that you and your opinions and your skills are the holy grail of knowledge and success, and you have the formula. I don't think anyone thinks that, because you're very aware that everyone's so different, especially in a contemporary dance company. Everyone's so different. Everyone has their own specialities, idiosyncrasies that make them the beautiful individual performer that they are. And it's just, it's so worth investigating other people's kind of, their little hidden gems of knowledge that can help you become a more versatile, more eclectic performer, which is what I love about being at Rambert, really.
But that's alien to me. Like I kind of come from a world where you go to university, you finish your learning, you do your school in school, or in an academy of whatever, or evening class or whatever. And there are people who teach you things and people who you can learn nothing from. But I think as a dancer you really appreciate that anybody can teach, even if it's looking at somebody's physicality or looking at the way someone's communicating. You can learn something from that, because you're so sensitive to this very just kind of almost like a primal level of the world somehow. That's very subtle, but at the same time hugely academic and hugely philosophical. Like that's I was surprised at how much of an educational establishment Rambert was. I suppose it wasn't really just about learn these moves and do the dance. It's like, no, learn the world. Learn everything that's in my head. That I think from a choreographer's perspective, as a dancer, you always want to learn everything it is that has led that choreographer to that decision. Right.
Because as soon as you learn that, the less it is a move, and it's a consequence of knowledge, and it seems less like a chosen move and more like the only kind of the only thing you can do. And that's really lovely when you understand something so well, or a piece of movement, or where a piece of movement has come from, that every move is like, of course it must be this, there's no other way it will be anything else, because I understand, or I've been given so much information that I can get here. I don't need to remember this. This isn't about, okay, so then I go to the left, then I do the arm, and then something like that. It almost becomes like, of course you have no other choice, because you've got so much information and so much knowledge that these are all the only consequence of having that knowledge. And then you don't have to try and spend hours remembering things. Okay, I must remember this, I must remember this move, I keep forgetting this move. And I mean, that does happen to you. It does happen when you're not feeling that kind of like, you have days where you don't feel that kind of mentally prepared or engaged, I guess, and it does become just merely a physical thing. But quite often, and I know by the time you get to performance, I know I'm not in that space of physically this is what it is. It's more about, it's a journey, it's a sentence, you know it, and it's just about speaking and doing and communicating and talking and describing and all these things just with your body. And you're talking about something, a subject that you know, this is how you feel about it, and the dance is your words, I guess, and that makes it easy to do.
It's such a lovely way of describing it, isn't it? It's like, I've heard actors say the same thing about their learning their lines, that it's like, of course it's that line, because everything leading up to it has made it that line.
Exactly.
You know? It's like, there's no way it could be anything else. Yeah. And it's, once you understand your character and understand the situation, there is only that thing that they could have said, isn't it?
Exactly. And I think, but it's not all choreographers work like that, and not every performance is like that. Sometimes you do have choreographies that are sheerly shape, and they have a different purpose to those that are about something else. Like so those that how I described earlier, kind of that way of thinking and performing is very different to others as well. That's personally what I prefer, but I mean, they're both equally valid. One that is just purely about shape and space and architecture is equally as valid and artistically as important, as valuable.
Feel like you have a sort of a spatial understanding of the world in some way as a result of doing dance all the time. That, like, it's a bit like, for me, I sort of think if I've been playing a video game, I've been playing Tetris a lot, I start trying to sort of fit shapes into other shapes when I'm looking around the room. You know how that happens. But maybe, I don't know, and like when I was showing Danny some stuff on the laptop, he said the next day he just did it. You know, he'd never used this software before or anything. He just did it automatically, and I was like, he was saying, I don't know what I'm doing, and I thought, well, you've just done something really complicated. And he said, I guess I remembered the movement of my hand on the keyboard, and he kind of remembered what he'd done in what order, which I think is really interesting. Like, that's not at all, I don't have any awareness of that. I just kind of just do whatever and think of it in a different way completely.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, that's how I learned to drive. Right. I struggled with driving for so long, and then when I broke it down, I was like, right, it's like 4 movements. And that's like
it's like a dance.
And that's like 5, 6, 7, 8. I was like, that makes perfect sense.
Oh, brilliant.
And then from then on, I was just like, off I go.
Oh, how
and
cool.
Then and I think so.
So you're dancing with the car somehow.
Yeah, with my feet, and I think you do have end up having a different relationship to the world, I guess, and how you see it. And I think as well, I become very interested in like where I could see dance and how different environments can affect dance, and not necessarily like one performance. So it's very interesting, for instance, how some choreography would be performed different by the performers depending on what environment they're in. If they were in a proscenic march stage where they've got 2,000 people watching them and they can't see them, they're going to perform very differently to being in the middle of a park with 5 people watching them, or in a gallery space where everyone's really close to them. Or these things are very interesting, but I think I've become more interested in realizing, especially when I'm choreographing, okay, my choreography is a response to maybe how I feel about something. So if I change the environment that I'm in, so if I was to put myself in a certain environment for the creation of some choreography, how interesting would that be to compare that to, or to contrast that then with where it's performed? If you was to create something in a really uncomfortable environment and then perform it somewhere that you're really comfortable, or vice versa, how that kind of messes with you as a performer, and kind of these juxtapositions of, oh, it was made somewhere very uncomfortable, but now I'm performing this very uncomfortable material somewhere that's like a second home. Or I've created this material in a studio which I know I'm really, really comfortable with, and then I perform it in like an alleyway. That kind of effect on you as a performer, I think is really quite interesting, and something I know I want to explore.
I mean, it's always interesting seeing dance in real life, I suppose, relating to that, especially quite close up, versus seeing it on a screen. And I always feel like these like National Theatre live things, and things where you can basically go to a cinema and watch something on a stage but on a screen instead. And you get a sense of it, and you can see the choreography, and you can sort of see their faces, and that's all kind of nice. But then if you see something, I remember going to see the Matthew Bourne Swan Lake, and I sat quite close to the stage, and just being amazed, and having never really seen dance before, by the sweat, literally sweat flying off them into the crowd and things like that.
And hearing them breathe.
Yes, and the actual weight on the stage.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, doof, doof,
and,
doof.
and then the touching when they touch someone else, being able to see that physical connection, things like that. I think for me, that's the most interesting investigation, I think, and how technology and dance could really kind of like break some boundaries to try and work out what it is that technology can do and what dance can do, to just investigate and see if it's possible. Because I mean, you watch a dance film and it's not the same as watching live performance, but I think there's a way that technology could potentially, virtual reality is close, but bringing that element of like, how could technology help us watch dance after it's happened and still have that same je ne sais quoi? You know what I mean? That little like, what is it? Dance is so ephemeral. Like, it happens and it's gone. Yeah. Like, it just, you can watch it back on a film, but you never experience the same thing again. But I think there's definitely a way that technology, it has to be technology that does it. There's no other way. If we're not talking about live performance, there must be a way that technology, and there will be a way that technology and dance can marry, so the receiver, the audience member, can have the same experience watching it as if they were in a theatre. There must be a way. Yeah. There will be a way. You just have to wait, and we have to investigate, we have to play.
I know, it might be 50 years from now. Yeah. But, there'll be, and I suppose, as you say, like, virtual reality is close. It creates something that's sort of weird and interesting. It's not very good yet, but I suppose it will be.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was interested in the things that you were saying about what you did at Wilderness with the creating circuits with the body and actually doing that. Yeah. Not just sort of in a metaphorical way, but actually triggering sounds by touching each other and so on. And that, I find that more interesting in a way than trying to recreate previous dance. I feel like, do something in the moment. And also almost turning people who aren't dancers into a kind of dancer or a kind of musician.
Yeah, exactly. And people who aren't musicians, turn them into musicians.
Yeah.
Shall I go get Hannah? We can talk about
where do you think she is?
but it's generally repetition. I think that's what happens, is that it's repetition and you don't kind of realise how much strain you're putting on something, and then something else compensates, you know.
Right, yeah.
And then it's like when you're doing show after show and things like that, you kind of don't really realise until... And I have a really high pain threshold, so it has to really, really...
God. Yeah.
Like, it's really painful when I say, I think I need to stop now. Because most things you can kind of will yourself through, which is not necessarily always the best, but sometimes it's okay to will yourself through a little bit.
Yeah, I do wonder about that, because you do more or less, I mean, you know, you don't dance 8 hours a day, but sometimes it's getting on for that. It's and it's 5 days a week at least.
Yeah.
At the weekend as well, and that's like that is going to take its toll. But at the same time, you know, you're on tour quite regularly. You're always performing. If you're not, you know, performing on site at Rambert, it's performing at Sad as Wells or performing on tour. And there is a point where it's like you can't stop, even if you're ill. It feels like you can't, like, you physically, or you sort of professionally can't take that time. To me, it's like an example to people in normal jobs, like the way that everybody just gets on with it around there. It's just like I think the entire time I was there, I don't think anybody had a day off sick. I didn't notice that never seems to happen.
No, it doesn't happen often. No, it doesn't happen often.
How is it that, like, what if you get a really bad cold, or you know, I don't know.
I mean, you can take days off sick, and people do, of course, take days off sick. Generally, it's towards the end of the year, like people getting sick towards the end of the season, and that happens. And then obviously you're working together, so everyone spreads it around and stuff. But of course, it's completely fine to take days off sick. But I think whereas in perhaps other jobs, the individual might not feel like they miss out on very much. It's just the next day they have to do twice as much work. Whereas for us, I think there's much more of a thing of like, they don't want to miss anything, we don't want to miss anything, we also don't want our roles to be taken from us, or like, and all of those kinds of pressures, you know, that you have, and because we're fortunate, you know, we're doing something we love, so therefore I think already the desire to go to work is of a different level. And maybe there's an element of kind of always having to be grateful that we do this. Like, I feel really fortunate to do this as my job, like how lucky I am to do that, so therefore I should go to work every day. You know, I want to, obviously, but I should as well.
Yeah.
Do
you feel like that, Liam?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I feel exactly the same. I think the pressure thing that you said is very, it affects you a lot, the idea of you don't want to miss out, you know, that I think, as well, like, we learn so much that every day there's possibly something you could learn. There's something that you could gain, and the fear of, by not being there's also something you could lose.
Yeah.
Which is, I think that's plays quite a big role in just being there and how hard you work. The idea that if you work hard enough, you can always gain something. There's always something to gain. But if you're not working hard, you're not there, then there's things you can lose, and there's things that other people can gain that you may not gain as well, that you want to gain. And there's this idea of always wanting to be like the best you can possibly be, like the absolute best, and that by taking time off or not being dedicated or too relaxed about everything, that you miss out on being the best you that you can possibly be. That's kind of like a bit scary, and I guess you become quite obsessive about becoming the best you can be, which is probably not very healthy, but it doesn't last very long, so we may as well do it while we can. Yeah.
Do you think you're obsessive in that way? Do you feel obsessive? You do?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Do you have dancers in your background, Hannah? No, neither of you do, so yeah, it's new for your family.
Yeah, and I really like that. There was a lot of school friends and things like that whose family had danced or did dance or whatever, and I always think I would have found that really difficult, because I think it really helped, like it helped that obsessive kind of like really determined side to have like such a normal, like, you know, inverted commas, normal family life, where they did something completely different. And it's always good because for them it's always really special, so no matter how hard things are, no matter how difficult it all feels, you're always going to be really special for them, because they don't really know anything, and that helps you continue to have the motivation and the support that you need to carry on.
Because your family do like normal jobs. Sorry. Your family do normal jobs. Like there's this obsession to like be the best you can possibly be. But then there's this calm to know that whenever your family see you, you are the best they've ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
So there's kind of like this balance of like you're always pushing to be the best you've ever been, and you want to be better. But then whenever your family see you, you're
always the best in their eyes.
Yeah,
so
you're always the best.
Yeah.
And like you're always the best you've ever been now. Like to them you only ever get better. You're only ever the best or one of the best, and like that kind of like is like a nice opposite to never feeling like you're the best and always feeling like you can be better.
And it's also that if one day, I remember when I went away to school, my mum just always said, like, the only thing she ever said was like, if you're happy, then you stay. If you don't want to stay there anymore, you come home. That was it. It was not loaded in any way, you know, of like you should stay or you shouldn't stay, or we're going to miss you or wish you weren't going, you know. And then later on, as you grow up, you realise that, you know, perhaps your dad didn't really want you to go and all those kinds of things. But in that moment, it was just, if you don't want to stay, then you just come home, and that was just really great. Yeah.